All right, welcome back. Good evening. How are you guys? Hope you're doing great. I'm doing fine. Bitcoin is dropping. We actually did not hit oversold area, which is just a little bit concerning. Nothing too crazy though. My order finally got triggered, so that is good stuff. We now have a large exposition to Bitcoin, and their average price is now dropped to about 112,000. 111,900 is, to be exact. Not even exact. You got the point. I'm down 4,000, but I'm not concerned because I know this will go up and this is temporary, and the reason we are dropping is not even that good of a reason, which is why I decided to buy. So, plan is still intact. I still got my other order down at 104,641, just in case, we decide to do one of those things where we drop over the weekend, right? So I'm prepared for that. I still have a bit of a chest congestion. The days have been getting a little colder, so if I cough into the mic during the stream, I apologize in advance. Moving on. Of course, worst case scenario, even if this support does not hold at 104,000, I'd be eyeing the 98,000 level, and I think I will, depending on the news that's out there, might go all in on Bitcoin at 98,000 because a lot of reasons. A lot. I'm gonna pull up an article a bit early. A post. By the way, we're way beyond praying to hold Bitcoin above 109,000. Our current price is 108,200 as the time of the recording, and we managed to drop to a low of 107,400, so that is out of the question. They hold 109,000. Plus, I think the support was supposed to be at 108,000, practically where we have our levels right now. We are on a support. Nonetheless, 98,000 will be the next support, is what other analysts are also saying. So I'm not the only one in terms of this 98,000. I also shared another analyst posting the same deal, having to do with some strange trend line, some strange downtrend line that was using supports or something like that, which didn't make too much sense to me. But I mean, other people are also looking at 98,000. Me personally, why am I looking at 98,000? Because that is the lowest point we hit since the 22nd of June, which was fears of World War III, when United States bombs Iranian nuclear facilities. And also on a weekly chart, I've been using the super trend 10-3, which has helped me determine for the longest time. It looks terrible in USDC chart, but trust me, in USDT it looks better. Hang on. Here we go. So since 2023, we have been in an uptrend in the weekly chart, and this line has never been fully broken. We have never closed below it in the weekly chart. Even on the worst of days, August 5th, 2024, last year, fears of recession, etc., we still managed to hold on to this line as a valid support. And same deal with April 7, tariff fears. We managed to hold on to 74,000 as a good support. Now that level has climbed up to 96,000. Give it 1 or 2,000. Bitcoin is a massive asset. I'm still eyeing 98,000. I've also drawn a fib extension level that is helping me determine what our next highs are. It accurately predicted the 112 and the 123 approximately, right? So I'm confident that we can hit the next level at 135,000 if the bull run maintains itself intact. The way we can determine if the bull run remains intact is if we are able to hold above this zone, 96,700, 98,000. So that is my philosophy on this. Plus, we also have, that fib extension that I also drew over here. The 97,000, almost 98,000, it's been there as a good support, right? Also using that same level from 22nd of June. So there you have it. Seems like we still got a long way to drop though, if we're being honest, to hit that level. So I'm not too concerned with it. Wouldn't surprise me. Well, okay, first of all, we're heading into the weekend, so we're not going to get too much volatility. And it is also a long weekend. Something I forgot to mention on my previous streams, but there's this thing called Labor Day, which I don't know anything about labor, to be honest. But there, the stock market will be closed on that day. It's same thing with Canada and United States. So low volatility even on that day. So it's going to be a long weekend of nothingness. Maybe some decay. Who knows? But I think after that, we should be back on track. We are still expecting, the rate cut. We just got some economic data today. It seems like everything is in line with expectations. Spoiler alert. So I think we are still maintaining ourselves on the right track. Like, there's no chance of getting a rate hike or us not cutting the rates. Things are looking fine. So I feel like Bitcoin's price is being punished for practically no reason here. Again. And we saw something similar happening at the beginning of this week. And yeah, at the beginning of this week, I did kind of have the feeling that this week could be really good. Not really, right? When did the week start? Hold on. We started the week on August 25. 22. What was this? What was August 22nd? So that was Jerome Powell. Thank you, Powell. 24, 25. Right over here. Yeah, we kind of been down, slightly up. But then we are much further down, of course, since then. So, turns out this week wasn't as good as expected. What I am happy about is this super trend line in the 4-hour chart peaking downwards. The downtrend is, of course, still intact, and it's looking now, we don't have a confirmation as to where it's flattening out, but by the looks of it, at least 114,000 seems to be the resistance. So it wouldn't surprise me if we get some new pivot levels by Sunday that will be around the 114,000 mark, or even lower if possible. I would be very thankful, because the faster we break out of whatever resistance the super trend line gives us, will give us further confirmation of a new uptrend that we can be drawing from there. I'm looking at Bitcoin and USDT. Let me go back to USDC over here. 114,000. Yeah, the numbers are approximately the same for USDC, USDT. Good stuff. I'm happy that this one finally got purchased. You'll also notice that I purchased a little bit too early as well. I made 2 purchases, actually. There's 2 orders. Almost half a Bitcoin. Crazy. On average, 108,908. That's because I don't even know if I can see it here, but is it these ones? It's not these ones. Let me go to USDC. Here they are. First one I opened at 110,384. This happened this morning. I was like, yeah, I don't think we're going to drop today. We just got good PCE data. Bottom might be in. I think we're going to go higher. I dropped like 5,000 on it. And then, for whatever reason, we continued dropping, and I didn't remove this order, so that also got filled. Sure, I could have been patient and not bought Bitcoin at a bit of a higher price and just let this ride. Of course, I would have done that if I knew that Bitcoin was going to drop, but it didn't look like it was supposed to. But it did. And I'm not complaining. It's fine. We can bounce up from here. That is obviously a possibility. So I'd be content if that were the case. If not, drop down to 104,000 and then take off. I'm fine either way. I'm very well loaded up in Bitcoin at this point. Go to my positions here. And I also opened a couple more positions. Hyperliquid position from bonus was closed yesterday. That one was at a loss, I'm pretty sure. So it didn't make anything from Hyperliquid. $20 that could have been lost, but didn't actually get lost. It wasn't on me. It was on the exchange. So thanks, I guess. That is a lot on Bitcoin. I practically am a whole coiner right there. Maybe I'll just go long for the rest of my life with this. My liquidation price is 75,000. That's the good thing about, 3x leverage on Bitcoin. You drop good amount of money in there, put some 3x leverage. The odds of you getting liquidated are slim to none. I don't want to get cocky here, because this business and this market jinxing exists, right? So you got to be careful with your wording, or, you know, being a little bit too greedy or whatever the case may be. So, you know, nothing's impossible, especially in the crypto market. We've seen crazy turnarounds in both directions, of course, for many different assets. Things that people thought unimaginable can happen on crypto. So keep that in mind. Not saying that Bitcoin is going to drop to 75,000 tomorrow. Obviously, something completely devastating would have to happen, such as, I don't know, Satoshi Nakamoto being revealed to be some crazed lunatic that is going to sell all his Bitcoins or something. I don't know. Or World War III. That could also happen, you know. What if a bomb drops on your head? Good quote from Trump. Anyway, so that's what we got for Bitcoin. Good support right over here, 108,300. Current price, down 3% today. Let's have a look at Ethereum. Ethereum, I think, was starting to give some possibility of an entry. Not really. 4,155 is where I have another support based off of Fibonacci retracement. We are on one of them right now. 4,345. Not doing quite much over here. RSI can still give us some downward momentum. Keep that in mind for this weekend is, you know, the RSI levels, we can still drop. And then we can do our reversal, right? We need to drop to an oversold area. A lot of coins have not yet done that, so they're not really giving good entries yet. I am sort of getting ahead of myself, but that's just because I want my capital to do something, even if it is to lose. Once again, I gotta watch my wording over here. I don't want to lose. I'm not saying that, but it's like, okay, let's just put something in it. Let's have the money do something, and then we can, you know, go crazy when we figure out where the bottoms are. But by then it might be too late. You're gonna notice that my Solana position is no longer here. It's because I screwed up. Not really. I put my stop loss on it at 200, and Solana went ahead and dropped itself to 200 from 219, well, 217. I put my take profit at 219 after the stream ended last night. It originally was at 262 or something like that. Look at that. I should have been more vigilant, I guess. I don't know. Whatever. It sold to there, made 500 profit, and we didn't drop below 200. So now I'm struggling. I don't know what to do. I don't have Solanas anymore. And I wanted to load up as much as I could on Solana, but hey, it's fine. If we drop below 200 again, I'll figure out where to load up. Otherwise, it'll just have to be on Bitcoin, which I wouldn't mind either. Alright, that's all I really got to say about Solana. Down 4%, 204 is the current price, whatever. XRP is peaking downward as well over here. Once again, hitting this low point support at 278. 277 was our lowest point. Seems like we could still continue a little lower. How much lower, that's something I cannot tell you, honestly, because we really don't have a good support for XRP. None that I could see, at least. Maybe 266 if you really care. But, like, this is all just, like, what even happened here, right? We just shot up suddenly from 230 to, like, almost $3. That time where XRP was going crazy after the war ended. Yeah, so can't really do much with XRP. I'm not exactly sure where to find an entry with it. Maybe 266, like I said, but I'm not too confident on it. I'll just leave this position here, honestly. I don't think I'll be entering much more in XRP. Stellar is just dying right now. Just keeps on dropping, so I'll see what happens with Stellar too when we get to it. Let's analyze SUI first. Hitting the support level at 323. Did I not have an order here? No, I didn't. So I think my order was here, 333. Current price is 326. My average price is 341. We were slightly positive, but not positive enough, so that's why I never took profits or anything like that. I have one more entry at 301 if we do drop down there. It's going to be a pretty good buy, a big buy. And downtrend is back in effect once again over here. Resistance at 366 for SUI. I'd ignore all other levels for now. Pay attention to $3. and that resistance to 366 before making any big decisions on whether or not to, I don't know, decide to buy or sell. I think we're still intact though for our bull run. Things should still be fine. It's just a small blip. Really, we're being punished for no reason is what it seems like. Here's my small profit on Chainlink. I'm happy I got out, at least, even with it like something miserable like $10, $11 of profit, or $7, whatever it was. We dropped a little bit more and I decided, you know what, it's time to get some exposition onto Chainlink. So I did, and I don't think I put too much. This happened today. I put 250. I have other orders at 21 and then 19. So yeah, that's what we got for Chainlink going on. Down 5%, $23.23. Nothing too crazy. Cardano is now finally down at 82. Of course, after I buy $250 worth of FOMO, my $500 entry gets filled, I think. So it's, yeah, $750 in total that I've got going on in Cardano. Average price is $82 for me. From there, I'm looking at 74 for our next support. Don't think we're going to drop there, but my order is there just in case. Cardano, it's one of the few that have not yet done too much of a crazy movement. I mean, rising above $1, that was pretty good at that one point, but I still think it needs to go much higher. So there we go. Litecoin, it's also slowly decaying. It's practically holding strong, I would say. You know, not dropping as hard as the rest. Although it is, you know, I think the momentum is a bit exhausted after its big run to 134. We've now dropped from there. I have a trigger order at 105.91, so almost 106. We're at 109 right now, like I said, so just a little further down and we can hit that. Could be the case. You know, we have a chance of getting oversold, and if that happens, it's likely to be at this area, so that's where I have my order at. And with the first drop that happened August 25, it wasn't enough to reach that order, so I wouldn't mind another attempt at that. Resistance you're looking at, clearly the 118 mark for Litecoin. But downtrend is still intact for it. Good stuff. Stellar is at 36. Look at this. Once again, scammed. 35 cents with 466 millicents. I had my order at 35 cents with 323 millicents. So by 100 millicents, whatever you want to call it, it did not get filled. Whatever. And it did reach oversold territory at this zone. So the attempt was there. I don't know. I probably should have averaged out these two prices in retrospect. Could have been pretty good, but whatever. I put a lot already on here. Almost 3,000. And how much is this order? Calculator time. Please get out of the way. So 0.35323. And I'm buying 8,482.87 stellar coins, which is, yeah, it's about 1,000. Wouldn't have dropped my average price too much, actually, in retrospect here. Maybe to 37 something. Okay. But hey, I'll leave it there anyways, just in case. I feel like this is happening a little bit too frequently now. Like, I put a trigger order there, almost trying to calculate it as precisely as I can, and then, like, by 1 millicent, it doesn't get filled. Maybe I just got to start bumping those up by a little bit. But then when I do that, like, I bump up my orders by that little bit, you're going to notice, like, something like this happen, right? And I'll be like, oh, I guess I should have known that it was going to drop down there. But no, you really never know, so it's all by chance. Doing it to the best of my analysis, that's all I could really do. I entered a position on Sonic. I think I had this trigger order, yes, at 0.3111. I think I averaged out these two prices. That's why I have that level there. And it wasn't too much. 500. Because I'm still, you know, waiting to see what happens with that governance vote or whatever they said. It's not a governance vote. I just made that up. Government vote, I guess. It's happening September 1st. we'll see what happens if these people approve Sonic to start going crazy in the United States markets. So it's going to be short-term inflationary, long-term beneficial if it actually gains good traction, but I think it's a step in the right direction. Ave is another position I have. Second order did not get filled yet. I'm still a little bit positive there. And Pengu is another position I've got. Did I put another order here? I don't think I did. No. What levels do we got next? What did I mention before? I don't know. I entered over here. Okay. How much did I put? 500, I think, right? Yes. It's at 29. I like these prices. I like Pengu below 30. I'll wait for new pivot levels and then I'll decide whether we put more trigger orders. But for now, I'll just leave it at that. Realistically, like zero. I keep saying 30. Why? I'm like ignoring the first zero over here. I don't know. 0.27 is probably where we would have a good support that I could consider. Because other than that, like dropping down to 20 again, I don't think that's going to be possible. Could be. I mean, it's a meme coin. They'll do anything against you. Pepe, it's also kind of doing its own thing. 0.08. Okay. I mean, we still got a long way to go if we are going to drop, so I'm not too concerned. And also a drop to 0.06. Don't think that's going to happen. What else? Aptos is the last exotic coin I'm investing in. I say exotic, but you know. Yeah, it's still fine. Like, it's nothing too crazy. This drop is not that bad on Aptos, so I'm not too concerned about getting another order in as soon as possible or anything like that. There we go. So those are the positions for now. I'm prepared for the long weekend. The question is, are you prepared? All right, moving on. So we're going to talk about the economic data that we have gotten. Of course, Trump is celebrating the good, the GDP data that we got yesterday. 3.3%, smashing economists' expectations and demonstrating the ongoing resilience underway in President Trump's economy. Good. And then we got the PCE data. So we talked about the month-over-month one yesterday, right? What would happen if we came above expectations or below expectations, how the markets would react to it. It actually came in line with expectations, which is why markets were like originally starting to pump up a little bit, and then ultimately we are where we are right now. But I don't think this drop is caused because of this data, because this data is fine. We're reading inflation right. We're getting it in line with expectations. Also, the year over year, that also came in as expected. Pretty good. No surprises, right? Was in line with expectations. However, we are noticing that, you know, core PCE inflation is now at its highest since February of this year, yet we are still expecting rate cuts. Traders still expect a Fed rate cut in September. I checked the percentage. Yesterday it was 86. Today it's like 87. I'm assuming if we did not get any changes. Yeah, we're back at 86. So really nothing changed, right? We're still expecting that rate cut to happen nonetheless. An 86% chance, that's practically guaranteed. Not really, but you get the point. We also got, speaking of, you know, Feds and interest rates, whatever, Lisa Cook, who mentioned that, well, if you don't know the context, Trump basically fired her, which I don't think is allowed or possible to happen, under the claims of alleged mortgage fraud. She said, "Oh, this is unfair. It's you guys can't do that to me. La la." I think even she blamed her race or something. I don't know. And now she threatened to sue, and that happened today. Lawyers for Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook will be in federal court today to try and save her job. There's also that, was she still showing up to the office, or like, what's the deal? Can the president actually fire her? Some people were like, sure, it'll be good to fire this lady, this random woman who is probably not in favor of cutting rates, and replace her with somebody who is in favor of cutting rates. But yeah. Ousting Cook would let Trump secure a majority on the board of governors. That's also true, right? Because it seems like Fed Chair Powell is leaning toward the Democrat side, anti-Trump, pro-Biden kind of deal. You know, you don't got to be a genius to kind of figure that out. We have no rate cuts under Trump, and we had a 50 basis point rate cut under Biden, and then another 25 basis point rate cut last year. So, that's why Trump has been giving him a hard time, calling him too late Powell, saying that he's getting too political about this whole stuff, that kind of deal. All right, so I don't know if anything concluded out of this yet, but yeah, just letting you know that is happening. And then we got this coming out today, which I think this is the reason why we are seeing a bit of a drop in the market, because we had a similar reaction when this happened in the past. Yes, that is true. This has happened before. Here's the news. Most of President Trump's global tariffs have been ruled to be illegal by a U.S. appeals court. The court found that President Trump has exceeded his authority by imposing them. This headline came out just 30 minutes after market futures have closed for the 3-day weekend. The U.S. Court of Appeals has allowed Trump's tariffs to remain in effect as the case is being reviewed. This is now expected to be appealed by the Trump administration, setting up for another landmark Supreme Court case. This happened back in April as well, back when, the Liberation Day tariffs came into effect and markets were crashing. I think it was then, or maybe it might have been before, actually, I think. This had to do, I think it was before Liberation Day. This is when there was the Trump tariffs on Canada and Mexico and China, right? The same thing happened. The court said, hey, these tariffs that you were imposing are illegal, and we're going to have to stop them. But then Trump and his cabinet fought against that, and they won. So, tariffs were allowed to continue, and then we got Liberation Day. It was something along the lines of that. Now something similar is happening again, where the courts are saying, hey, tariffs are illegal, you're not allowed to do this. And so Trump is already planning to appeal the tariff ruling with his Attorney General, Pam Bondi. He also posted this on Truth Social saying that all the tariffs, don't worry, guys, they are still in effect. Today, a highly partisan appeals court incorrectly said that our tariffs should be removed, but they know the United States of America will win in the end. If these tariffs ever went away, it would be a total disaster for the country. It would make us financially weak, and we have to be strong. The USA will no longer tolerate enormous trade deficits and unfair tariffs and non-tariff trade barriers imposed by other countries, friend or foe, that undermine our manufacturers, farmers, and everyone else. If allowed to stand, this decision would literally destroy the United States of America. At the start of this Labor Day weekend, we should all remember that tariffs are the best tool to help our workers and support companies that produce great made-in-America products. For many years, tariffs were allowed to be used against us by our uncaring and unwise politicians. Now, with the help of the United States Supreme Court, we will use them to the benefit of our nation and make America rich, strong, and powerful again. Thank you for your attention to the matter. Okay, so it seems like they're blowing it off. They don't care too much, and I think that's the appropriate response if you do want to save markets, because I'm pretty sure the markets are not liking this again. It seems like markets are starting to be a little bit in favor of this whole tariff thing, I think. That's what it kind of seems to me. Because we've seen that tariffs are actually not a bad thing, and this is something I mentioned way at the beginning of the year, like the tariffs thing is just going to be something temporary. The bad stuff is only temporary, but in the long run, the tariffs will bring in a lot of good, jobs for the American people, get more companies to come into the United States, help the economy grow, things like that. A lot of companies were projecting like, oh, because of tariffs, we don't expect to grow as much in terms of revenue or earnings per share or things like that. After a couple quarters have passed, we were already seeing a lot of companies performing very well. Top company Nvidia performed super well last quarter. Alibaba, I just saw as well, did really good with their earnings. Things like that. So it seems like tariffs are not actually that much of a negative thing. And we're seeing also inflation relatively low. And, you know, a lot of people are saying, you know what, tariffs are not actually a bad thing. But now, of course, if the again, this whole issue with the what do you call it, the appeals court saying that it's illegal again, and now they're trying to like seemingly mess up Trump's plan or whatever the case is. Yeah, that causes a bit of uncertainty once again. So that seems to be the situation for now. Meanwhile, in the 51st state, that is Canada, our economy is shrinking. I think we've practically surrendered to Trump's tariffs at this point. I heard something, we're bringing back the carbon tax in a disguised form. Gas is going to go up like 17 cents or something. Canadian economy shrinks 1.6% annualized in the second quarter. Misses the 0.7% estimate. So that's not good. This is the lowest, or the biggest drop actually since the COVID pandemic. The Canadian economy declining. It also has to do with the fact that we have a huge outflow, one of the biggest in history. Capital is leaving Canada faster than ever. Like, it just got a hard elbow to the head. Get it? Elbows up. There was also, I heard this company, I think it was some casino company, based off the title. I don't know what it actually does. I forget the name too. But they're leaving Ontario. They're moving their company to the United States. And wow, great. We're hearing many lots cases like this. So it's not looking good for Canadian economy. Here's an update on the Russia-Ukraine war. I mean, there really is no update. The German Chancellor Merz says that it's pretty obvious that the Putin-Zelensky meeting will not happen. Of course, we already have Trump threatening sanctions now on Russia if they don't manage to arrange a meeting. But the Russians are saying that Zelensky is clearly incompetent and not willing to negotiate for peace. So they're in that bit of a deadlock there. Like, what do we do next? I also saw this, which was interesting. All Ukrainian men under the age of 22 are allowed to leave Ukraine. And in just half a day, 11,000 men have left the country. Nobody wants to go to war, and they got to do something to end it, in my opinion. Nobody likes to see war. All right, that's all for geopolitics. Let's move on to crypto news, which we've got a lot of, and it's interesting. So part of the volatility of today, of course, is also that it's Friday and the end of the month and options contracts expiry. We were expecting something to go to the upside. I saw like some articles saying Ethereum could rise again back above 5,000. But no, it seems like obviously we're not doing that and we are dropping instead. $14.6 billion worth of Bitcoin and Ethereum options expired today, so it dragged us down, evidently, right? Nothing too crazy, but there are reasons to remain bullish. A lot of shorts are starting to pile up again. $14 billion worth of Bitcoin shorts will be liquidated if the price climbs up to 120,000, and in Ethereum's case, over $5 billion in shorts will be liquidated if we go to 5,000 once again. I don't know about you, but that's a lot of money, so it's looking pretty good. I mean, it's not good that there's people shorting the market, but the short squeeze is going to be pretty significant. People who are calling the cycle tops, that kind of deal. This happened also in the morning, which really didn't help our case with Bitcoin's price action today. Binance futures experienced an outage. They posted this at, it was like 4 a.m. I don't know, something like that, saying, oh, we're aware of an issue affecting Binance futures trading All futures trading is temporarily unavailable. This is trading with leverage. Our team is working to resolve this as soon as possible. New updates will be shared here. Thank you for your patience. What happens then? Price starts pumping. What? On news like this? 30 minutes later, Binance comes out with another post saying, the issue affecting futures trading on Binance has been resolved. All futures trading is now fully operational. Thank you for your patience and your support. So they fixed it quickly in half an hour. You can now trade futures on Binance again. And then the price starts crashing. It's like, what? Part of the reason why people are always speculating that Binance clearly is manipulating market price toward the downside. It's more of a conspiracy theory. A lot of people claim to have on-chain proof, stuff like that. Sure, you can believe that if you want. A lot of selling off to Wintermute, market makers, things like that. But I don't think, that's always going to be the case. Bitcoin's price is going to do whatever it does. So you can't always put the blame on Binance. Plus, well, there's still stuff that could go on with Binance. Binance ex-CEO, so CZ, says, hey guys, this crypto dip, avoid selling. He's trying to give us some tips for retail traders. And also, did you know that Binance is not yet listed Kronos? I think Kronos can still skyrocket much higher. I don't know how Kronos has been performing. I didn't check it yesterday on stream, but I saw that it rose to even higher prices. So, a bit concerning. I sold a bit too early, didn't I? Let me go to... Oh, we have a crypto.com provider. Didn't know that. So, when it rose to here, that's probably when I sold. 20 cents American was 30 cents Canadian. That's when I sold. And then we had it rise all the way up here to 38 at its best. And this happened yesterday evening. No, yesterday morning. Yeah, I didn't sell. Well, anyway, we're back down to 27 cents, 30 cents almost. Yeah, I could have made much more. Whatever. I sold too early, once again, me doing my thing where I sell things too early. But hey, the fact that it's not listed on Binance yet could bring it a lot more volume. And there's still plans, of course. Like, I don't think the rise is over for Crypto.com, although I do think that this rise was a bit exaggerated for a good reason, though. Like, the Trump Media Technology Group, Donald Trump himself, they're getting involved with the Kronos project, so it's good overall. This one's interesting too. Elon Musk's lawyer, Alex Spiro, is set to chair the $200 million Dogecoin treasury per Fortune. Cool. So I guess Elon Musk's legacy is still intact with Dogecoin. I mean, clearly, especially, the Department of Government Efficiency stuff. Tesla accepting Dogecoin for payments. Hey, guess what? Gucci now accepts Dogecoin and Ethereum at select US stores for payments. Good for adoption. Although I really don't know who's actually paying for stuff with their Dogecoin, unless you're in severe profit or something. I don't know. But there you go. Now, speaking of Trump, World Liberty Financial, this came out saying that USD1 meets Internet Capital Markets. Announcement coming soon. We see World Liberty Financial logo there with a very familiar color scheme. That's none other than Solana. They're going to be releasing their stablecoin, World Liberty Financial stablecoin USD1, likely with Solana. And Solana is getting involved here. Radium changed their profile picture, and you're also going to notice the background. It's very similar to the World Liberty Financial background, right? It doesn't take a genius to figure out that there's going to be a partnership going on here with Solana and World Liberty Financial. We also got confirmation from Charles that USD1 is coming to Solana sooner than you think. He's thrilled to help bring World Liberty Financial into the Solana ecosystem. We are just getting started. And of course, the Trump crypto projects, they're no stranger to Solana. Trump meme coin is released on Solana. It's what pumped it to 300 almost earlier this year. So you know. Also, we know Justin Sun is a huge part of World Liberty Financial. He's also planning to do other stuff with his blockchain, saying that network fees will be reduced by 60%. This is the largest cut since its launch. Good stuff. They're improving their blockchain overall. They don't use Solana anymore. They're back to their own Tron native ecosystem, so there you go. I didn't know this company existed, but Canada's Litecoin treasury company Luxfolio seeks to raise $73 million to expand its Litecoin treasury strategy. It currently holds 20,084 Litecoins in its treasury. I didn't know this existed, like I said, and I want to see if it exists. Like, could I buy this? Luxfolio. Okay. With 2 X's. Did I just hit something? Luxfolio. Luxfolio Holdings. Is it this one? No, it's got to be Neo. This is the Canadian one. Oh gosh, this looks horrid. Oh man. This is what you want to buy, Western man? Yeah, not for me. Never mind. I changed my opinion. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe it turns around. Why does it have this though? It's like very low volatility, very low volume, I guess, on these kinds of companies. And what's up with these earnings things here? Why are they so next to each other? Literally 6-day difference between earnings. What? 28th of April, 29th of July. I think the days are very compressed. That's why. Like, yeah, huge day skips. Like 5th of August to 13th of August. It's got really, really low volume. That's what the case is. That's why these look horrible. If there's nothing that happened in the whole day, like, I don't think it's going to show a bar for it, right? A candlestick. All right, cool. That's what we got for Luxfolio, I guess. Florida State Retirement Fund admitted to buying MicroStrategy. They've disclosed an $80 million allocation to MSCR. Cool. Even retirement funds are trying to get involved with loopholes to acquire Bitcoin. So that's good. Overall good stuff for adoption. What else was I going to check? I have to get rid of one of these and I don't remember which one's the bad one. I think this is the good one. And this is the... No, this is the good one. This is the bad one. Okay. Bye-bye. I'll drag this over here. Okay. What was this? Oh, we're tracking hedge funds. I don't care about those guys. A lot of shorts liquidated over here. Above 113,500, 114,000. I don't think this is going to be too crazy of a resistance. And I think this is going to drop to 113,500 instead. This super trend. I'm hoping so, at least. Lots of longs getting liquidated. Why are you guys going too crazy with the longs? Starting to accumulate more longs around over here. I mean, yeah, fair enough. People trying to time the bottom. Go to a 2-week chart. Huge liquidation over here. 117,450. It's going to be above this resistance. So obviously we're going to have resistance at 117. No doubt. I guess we're going to wait for pivot levels to help show us that. And what else was I going to look at? I think this is just for news. Okay. What about this? All right, it's just a heat map. That's what I wanted to check. Okay. What is dropping? What do we got for opportunities? Why are these rising? It's crazy. That's new. Kronos is there. Kronos, I think it's got a good drop, but it's too high still. I'm not buying into Kronos. Pyth is come down a lot. World Liberty Financial. Do we got an entry? What are we thinking? We got 1,982. I'm doing 3x leverage at liquidate at 17, which is a level that we have not seen. We're coming out of oversold. No longer oversold. I think I'll still wait to a crash. Yeah. Everything is red. Let's go. Okay. I still have my orders there ready to fill. So that's why I'm not concerned at all. We just dropped below 108,000. Okay. We'll see where the weekend takes us for the rest of this day. I'm not going to bore you guys by sitting here and looking at a chart. So that'll be all for tonight. What do we got next week? That is also a good question. This is for this week. Okay, can we go to next week? Thursday, September 2. So nothing happening September 1st, of course. Nothing happening here. Nothing here. We should be getting non-farm payroll data. Yeah, Friday, September 5. And unemployment rate. So Friday next week is the only important day. Some feds will be speaking here. Yeah, but that's it. Okay, Friday next week. Big day. Non-farm payrolls and unemployment. Okay, yeah, that'll be all for tonight then. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow if I'm not doing anything. So, yeah.